Good evening and welcome to tonight's Yukon City Council, Yukon Municipal Authority work session. It's July 19th, 2022 and it's 6:30 p.m. And tonight we have the pleasure of hearing from the Director of the Association of Central Oklahoma Government, ACOG, and they're going to tell us about what they do and why it's so important that we're a part of that. So Mr. Sweeney, I will turn this over to you.
Thank you. Well, first of all, I want to thank you for the opportunity to come before you tonight and talk to you about ACOG. We really appreciate the invitation that came from the mayor. She asked if we could come and share what we do for the region and for our individual cities. You guys have been a member of ACOG for many decades, and we've been in existence for 56 years as of this last June. And but oftentimes when you're involved with an organization like ACOG, you wonder, what am I getting for my money? What is my return on investment, so to speak? And that's kind of a key factor that most organizations and agencies today kind of need to justify why they exist and what they do that is a benefit to its member governments. And we have roughly about 50 cities and 4 counties that we service, and a multitude of smaller communities as well as larger cities, all the way up to Oklahoma City, to across the board to the smallest communities. And so our services are varied, but they're very specifically designed to help those who need the help the most, as well as to address issues that are regional issues that nobody can address by themselves. Good example of that is air quality. Air quality doesn't stop at the boundary lines of the city or of the county, and you can't address it on your own, so you need the help of a larger group, a united group, that can make a difference for the region. We do that for a variety of things, and that's one of the themes you're going to hear tonight as we go through some of the key areas that we feel like are of most benefit to you, the city of Yukon. And if you open up the little folder I gave you, there is a flyer in there that's an overview of Yukon and some of the things that it basically says ACOG initiatives and your return on investment. And so if you wanted to know what your annual dues are to our organization, right now your basic dues are $11,283. Your water resources dues are $3,513, and transportation is $2,374. Your total investment annually is $17,170. Now that sounds like a lot of money, and it is. But if you look down at the very bottom corner, you will see that since 2012, the city of Yukon has received over $1.8 million in funding. And this is I would say that's a darn good return on investment if you consider all the things that means to your community. We're going to talk about a variety of things, and I brought my experts with me tonight because I like to give them an opportunity to spotlight things. I never claim that I know everything, and if I do, well, then I'm already heading in the wrong direction. But I do rely on my very qualified and very well educated and trained staff to address a lot of the key issues. So what I refer to this as oftentimes is I call this the ACOG Goodwill Tour, and you happen to be our second city that we're making a presentation. The first city we did was the city of Jones City in eastern Oklahoma County. You guys are second, and we have a third one we're getting set up hopefully with the city of Dale City next. So as part of that Goodwill Tour, I want to segue over to the areas in which I think will be of most interest to you. And at the end of this time, I want to give you ample opportunity to ask any of us questions that we can address for you. So right now, I'm going to segue to my first area of service that's very vital to you, and that's going to be 911. And this is Brent Hawkinson, the Director of 911 and Public Safety.
Thank you, Mark. Just excited to be here and tell you all a little bit about Next Generation 911. And it was under Mark's leadership that this program began. ACOG started preparing for this in 2008. But with Mark's leadership, when he came to ACOG in 2018, that's when this really began. So we're at the point of implementing Next Generation 911. And I'm very happy to tell you that it is state-of-the-art and no one else in the state is doing this. A very quick summary of what Next Generation 911 is would be compared to what we have now. And now it's very much telephony-based, and it's copper-based, and it's central office AT&T based, and all those services that we currently use from AT&T, which is the tandem router, which is called fault tolerant. There's 3 of those in the States, and also all the end offices that are in your serving area as well. That's all connected, by the most part, still through copper. A lot of fiber conversion is taking place that will bring around Next Generation 911. Most exciting part about Next Generation 911 is when we leave those legacy services, we go to cloud-based services instead of terrestrial services. We go to GIS-based location information, where it's now we have to deliver wireless calls, or the carriers do, within 50 meters of where the call is taking place, which is a huge area. We will be enjoying handset-based receiver technology that's within 8 feet of where the call is taking place, even to the point that we can watch them move on the map. We will also be enjoying text to 911 in a different format than we have now. We will also be enjoying in the future video that callers need to send, pictures that callers need to send, as well as still taking care of the hearing and deaf community, hearing impaired and deaf community through the text to 911, which was a major transition that we, along with Oklahoma City, made together, and that was just a couple of years ago. So in a nutshell, that's what we do, that's what we're bringing to you, and the Next Generation 911 service is faster, more reliable. We accomplished a great deal of what we're doing now in 2014 with the glass or fiber services to all of our PSAPs, which are now called ECCs, or Emergency Communication Centers. And so we're well on the way to bringing this new technology to all of the dispatchers, ultimately to your citizens.
And our dispatchers have already been trained, is that correct?
That's correct. That's correct.
We're one of the first ones to get that.
They will, and they are in that very first cut group.
We're
It's
very excited.
El Reno first. So.
That's all right.
and then Mustang, and then Yukon. But yes, you'll be in that first cut group and enjoying those new services. We have some very reliable vendors. We're very proud to be able to go forward with this and offer this new technology to you. I must tell you also, the state is watching us closely as to how we're doing this. The state is probably still 2 years away from deploying Next Generation 911 as far as what they call the ESI net, or the Emergency Services IP network. But they will be deploying that throughout the state. Along with that's called a service called Next Generation Core Services, and that's what's GIS based rather than what we call the MSAG, or the Master Street Address Guide, which is also something that we get from AT&T, a service that we will no longer have to use, will no longer be bound to AT&T. And I'm an AT&T retiree after 30 years, 6 months, and 26 days. But we're ready to do this. We have been a self-maintained shop since 2014, and this will bring us even closer to serving the communities directly. Any questions?
I've watched this service has unfolded the last 2.5 years, and what you guys are doing is just amazing. It's going to be a complete asset to our community, to our police and fire departments. Thank you for all your hard work on that.
Oh, absolutely. Our allegiance is to those dispatchers and ultimately to the callers. So we're happy to serve.
Thank you.
So just to let you know, our objective is to have that fully implemented sometime in the first quarter of 2023. We're keeping our fingers crossed. There's lots of lots of obstacles involved in that process that both Brent and I are very familiar with now. But we're making good progress, we believe. Our next person to talk to you is going to be my Transportation Planning Services Director, John Sharp, and he's going to talk to you about an area that which y'all have really benefited from is from transportation planning funds.
Thanks, Mark. I appreciate it. Good evening, everybody. Yes, so just an overview real quickly. We are a municipal planning organization for the metro area. So we do a 30-year transportation plan. Every 5 years we update that. And so your city's information feeds into that, and we appreciate your staff providing lots of data to us, and there's a lot of back and forth in helping them with that too. You have a handout in the folder, and I'd like to kind of quickly run over some of this. There's lots of acronyms, so you don't have to worry. There's no test on this later. The Surface Transportation Block Grants are something that we have every year from the feds, and it's a number of dollars that they give us that we pass through to the cities. Last year, we got $22 million for projects that they fund 80-20, so the local match is 20% and the feds provide 80. And these are for widening, new construction, intersections, bridge improvement, transit, and some bike ped type projects. With that same set of money, there are safety projects on page 3. And that's 100% funding. So we have about nearly $2 million for that. So those are things like striping, traffic light type improvements, crosswalks, things around schools to make schools safer, that sort of thing, pavement markings, guardrails. You can even do roundabouts, and I've seen some of those. So those are things that you can do with that sort of funding. And each year this money comes in, we're actually going to get a little bit more each year because the new funding from the bill has given us more money for this. The next area is page 4, where we have the call for projects. So this is, we're just coming up to our next call for projects. So in September and October, we'll be getting projects from you in all of our cities that will then be scored, and then we come back to our committees and give those scores to them and show them which cities receive funding. So all these grants are coming through at the same time. One of the ones that we have that comes up every few years is the Transportation Alternatives Program, and that's called TAP. And there's a weird map on page 5, and there's like an orange line that you see there, and most of our funding comes inside that orange line, and most of Yukon is inside that orange line. But we got a special deal this year from Odot, and I'll kind of go into that. Next page kind of gives you what we did last time. Last time we had about $8.4 million for like about 5 or 6 years. This time we have $7.5 million for just 3 years, and then the 3 years after that we'll have $9 million. And I went past your Garth Brooks trail that you guys put in. So you use TAP funding to do that trail. I noticed that was in, and that's really nice, and I'm glad that you guys did that one. So this is for trails, rehab, bike lanes, sidewalks. So whether it's 3 blocks of sidewalks or 8 blocks of sidewalks, it's something that you can kind of rehab or put sidewalks in for the first time. So this funding is very helpful for that. And then, so that's our side of it, inside that orange line. But there's also Odot funding, and that's the next page. They've got about $37 million worth of funding, and they have to cover the whole state. But part of your city that on the west side, and it may even include the park that you have on the west side, may be able to go to Odot and get funding for that, and they will help you with those types of projects. And we'll meet with your staff and hook up with Odot and discuss those things with them, and so everybody feels comfortable on that. And they're using about the same criteria as we are, so that's very helpful, I think, for everyone. But they have a 2-year number of 37.5, and then they think they're going to have another 2 years with the same amount of money. So it's not a, we're going to have money for just a little while down the road, so it's not all going to be gone at the same time. The next one is, as Mark stated earlier, we have some air quality issues, and When it's 111, we have a lot of air quality issues, unfortunately. So we have some funding, and this funding comes through in the spring, and this is congestion mitigation, air quality. And we have two kind of pots of money here. The first one is for betterment of regional air quality. So it's bike ped, it can be small scale initiatives, it can be some small sidewalk work. Intelligent transportation systems, that's when you link a bunch of your lights together so you don't stop at every single light, that you actually go through green, green, green. And that's better for air quality. So that's one thing that we do. The second thing we do here is fleet conversion grants. So if you have old pickup trucks, old diesel pickup trucks, waste trucks, those are things that we can help you with in regards to changing them over to CNG. We're also having some folks looking now at electric vehicles for some fleets. So like maybe your permitting person. Also some police forces are also looking at electric vehicles. So those are other set of funding that we have in the spring. Lastly, the Coronavirus Response and Relief Supplemental Appropriations Act, which is short CRISA. So this is 100% funding, and that's coming this fall, so the same as the SDBG and the TAP. This is $8.9 million. It's 100% federal, so there's no local match, which is great, and that rarely happens with the feds. This is mostly safety related, so this could be some overlays, it could be striping, it could be some barriers to safety type barriers and those types of things. The big thing we're being told really by Odot on this is we have a fairly fast turnaround time, and they're not really wanting to get into heavy NEPA work, what might take a year or two to get past all the paperwork for NEPA. So we're looking at things that are fairly easy to do, like I said, like overlays, striping, new stop signs, solar stop signs that flash. So if you've got some stop sign areas that folks aren't really stopping at, some of our communities are looking at having the stop signs that are solar powered, so they flash 24 hours a day, so even at night, and those are kind of cool too. So that's kind of the transportation side of things, and if you have any questions, I'll be here afterwards. Thank you.
Anyone have any questions? That side is so very exciting, and the new work that's coming down the pipe from some of the other agencies, the roads that are electric charging, that is just so exciting.
Absolutely. And let me correct something. He is my deputy director. He's over transportation planning services, I called him. You know, he's my man in charge. If something happens to me, then he takes over, so to speak.
Okay.
We try to be, prudent in terms of succession and having a depth of talent that people can access. So the last person I want to, and there's some other things on here like water resources. You're also in our Garber-Wellington area for the purposes of water planning. John Harrington is our point man for that. Excuse me. And so also that's an area that you can access in terms of information and possibilities of some of the future planning that you may have related to water. But let's go to the next person. That's going to be Christopher Bluth, who is my Community and Economic Development Manager. And he's going to talk to you about some very important areas of service that the city of Yukon can tap into that will be valuable to you in terms of some of the projects you may want to do, both in terms of community development as well as economic development. And I will send it over to you, Christopher.
Hi, good afternoon. I am the newest appointed CED manager at ACOG. I've been officially in the role for about a month and a half, even though I've been serving as the acting interim since about late April. So I've stepped into this role and I've been kind of smoothing things over and helping us get back on track and serving our communities as well as assisting our cities. I brought you a nice little one-pager here to try to help show what our department is trying to do for cities like Yukon. And one of our main things that we're trying to push is our ability to assist in getting your projects completed and getting funding for those projects long-term. One of the things that we are focusing on and pushing is our grant writing services, and that ability for us to be able to come in and help write, manage, and assist in any type of different grant that you may have. Even though we are mostly focused on EDA applications and grants, our grant writers and myself are working to do more USDA grants, FEMA, and others that may come up. It is something that our department wants to focus on, helping projects become fully funded and completed. And it's something that we're getting some success on, and we're going to continue to build off of. And it's something that we would like to continue to show and provide to our cities. Furthermore, for this EDA, ACOG is the EDA liaison for Central Oklahoma. It is something that we are continuing to try to convey information and provide accurate details and information to our cities. And through that, we have a couple of different assets that come along with that. We're able to move past the RFP process quicker. Our letters of support and our ability to be at a table for projects allow for more successful EDA grants. And for a city like Yukon, there are some EDA opportunities that will apply, especially in their special needs. Whether it become a higher level of distress, unemployment numbers, or a loss of an industry, the EDA does have special circumstances where it can step in and allow for eligibility. So that is something to consider when looking for funding in certain situations like that. And it's something that ACOG would love to help work on and work with you going forward. And the last thing that the CED department is really trying to focus on is helping convey information better. We are working on trying to accurately deliver information through our newsletters and different access to our phone calls and whatnot, especially during the last COVID-19 time period. It became pretty clear that information was flying around really, really fast, and it was hard for all those pieces of information to be truly digested and passed along. And it's something that ACOG is going to try to take a really firm step towards to make sure that the right information are getting to the right cities, so that you may have the opportunity to, get those applications in and get your projects funded. So that is what ACOG's CED department is working to provide to you, and it's something that I'm hoping to continue to work with you going forward. I'm really, really excited to hear more about potential projects you may have and how ACOG can assist going forward. And that's about all I have, short and sweet. So thank you.
Thank you. Anyone have any questions for him? Okay.
Okay, thank you.
You might want to mention
Yes, one of the things that we do have is something called My Government Online. It's a wonderful system for public works or city management, permits, work orders, fleet management. It's an all-encompassing system. It's made by government for government and offers an incredibly low price for a really robust system. And it's an entirely flexible system that's actually crafted for the individual city. It's a program, it was actually created in Louisiana by another EDD organization, SCPDC, and they have worked in Texas, California, Louisiana, and are continuing to build forward. And ACOG is its representative here in Oklahoma, and it's something that is a phenomenal software and something that is really going to help revolutionize how city government and government as a whole operates. So it's a really amazing system, one that we're very, very excited to continue to help grow here in Oklahoma.
Thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you very much.
Now you got the overall view of most of the moving parts. There are other things that we could talk about, but we felt like those were the key things that would apply to you, the city of Yukon, and your citizens. And if you have some questions you'd like to ask us now that we could clarify or enlighten you on or do some research on and get back with you, let us know. We're here available. So any questions you have right now of me or my entourage?
I can say for the first year I sat through these meetings, I was totally lost. I was like, what are you people talking about? This was so helpful. I learned, even after 2.5 years, so much tonight.
Correct.
I appreciate that, giving that overview, and I wish we would do that to all new members that come
Right.
in, because it would help me to know who's in charge of what and exactly where, and have it right here in front of me.
Absolutely.
I have learned so much from what you do. Our city has gotten value from you guys. There's still so much for me to learn going to those, but ACOG has really helped us, and I appreciate all the work that you guys do.
Appreciate that.
I would encourage all of you guys, if you have it's the free afternoon, 1 to about 3:30. They're very interesting meetings, and the guy who talks with Harrington, is that his name?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yes. You know, at first I was like, this is hard, and it's very, discouraging, because it's talking about our drought and where we're going. But the work that he has put into discovering where water is and where the drought, how it's moving and how it's going to impact our cities was so informative to me. And so I love that part, even though it's discouraging at times.
Now, sometimes we call John Dr. Doom because
Yes.
he's always telling us what's coming over the
I
horizon.
know, and that's how my first few meetings with him. I was like, man, this guy is such a. But it's true. The
Yes.
drought, is here and it's moving, and just being able to see some of those images that the work that he's done was very informative. So I just wanted you guys to comment and share
Sure.
because, like I said, I was lost for about the first year, but I'm getting the hang of it now.
Well, one of the things too, Mayor, just to address, we have an orientation packet now that we actually will deliver in person to all of our new members.
Okay.
And so this last time we did a group meeting because we had so many new members, but the intent is for me to go out and just kind of hit the road and say, hey, I want to meet with you one-on-one, and this is what we do, and this is how you can participate in that process. And one of the key things I just want to leave you with is what you heard today are funding opportunities, which means all you have to do is pick up the phone, call us. We'll make sure you talk to the right person because you may not know the right things to say, but we will guide you. My staff will meet with you one-on-one and talk about applications and sources of funding. And you will find the cities that get the most bang for their buck are the ones that come and talk to us. And I cannot stress that more. That's what we're here for, is to serve you. And the other thing we do is we try to get out ahead of things, to warn you about things that are coming down the line. One of the things our regional planning organization does is to get out ahead and start talking about the problems that we know are going to become more problems or bigger problems in the near future. And so we have a big task, but we get there because we do this through teamwork. And the strong membership we have in ACOG has proven so valuable, from the mayors, the council members, the county commissioners that have contributed countless hours to helping us accomplish the goals this region needs. So again, thank you so much.
Thank you.
And I really appreciate this opportunity, and
I
we're
won't see
available to you.
Won't see you this month because we're off.
That's right. We take the month of July off. All of our board meetings and committee meetings are the last Thursday of every month. It's kind of a marathon to get ready for, but necessary. So we start off with 911 board, and then we go to the MPO board, a policy committee. And after that, then is the ACOG board of directors, and then every other meeting we have the Garber Wellington Association meeting. So I've got like 4 meetings in a row in one day. So, but it's very informative and very helpful, and things are constantly changing. So again, we're here to help you.
Well, thank you, and thank you for coming out, all of you.
Thank you so much.
And I'll see you
Very
next
mu-
month.
Pleasure. And by the way, I came early to eat at one of your local restaurants.
Good. Which one?
Which was called Local.
Yes.
And I was very impressed.
Wonderful.
And so I
Stop
was
on
spending
your-
giving you some tax revenue
Right.
today.
Stop on your way out at our Czechoslovakian restaurant and get you some
Ah.
kolaches.
Oh, I love kolaches. I love them. Thank
All
you
right.
so much.
Thank
Appreciate
you.
it.
Thank you guys for coming too.
Bye-bye.
All right. If there's no questions, and we'll adjourn, and we'll give you about 5 minutes. So let's come back at 4 after. Okay?
Fine with me.
Okay.